Hello, everyone, and happy winter. I hope you're enjoying the snowy weather, or at least staying warm. This week, I'd like to talk to you all about governmental agencies, or as they're sometimes referred to, the fourth branch of our government. In the context of public law, agencies are a very important part of government function, and you probably interact with them a lot as part of your day-to-day life. Agencies are government created bodies that are given the authority to help the government carry out important everyday functions. Some examples of agencies are NASA, the EPA, the FDA, and countless others. Seriously, I could sit here all day listing agencies, but let's talk about where they get their power, what they do, and why they're important. Now, it's pretty clear that agencies are a big part of government, but how did it come to be that way? And you might even be wondering why they're even necessary in the first place. To understand this, we first need to talk about our government and how it actually works. We've all learned about the three branches of government and the roles they upkeep. But if you take a deeper look, sure, Congress can pass legislation, but they don't necessarily have the time or manpower to, say, manage air quality standards or oversee drug safety. Similarly, courts can interpret laws, but they just don't have the time to monitor industries or run day to day programs. And the executive branch is responsible for enforcing laws, but it's a big job for one branch of government to carry out alone, especially for a nation the size of ours. So, this is where agencies come in, and why you might hear them referred to as the fourth branch of government. Agencies are used to pick up the slack where the time or manpower is lacking. And they do this through a power called delegation. This is where each branch of government gives up a little bit of their power and allocates it to the agencies to help them out with their workload. Now, if you want a scholarly definition, agencies carry out quasi-judicial, legislative, and executive functions in order to support public and governmental needs. Now, agencies were not always as powerful. But today, it's pretty fair to say they're delegated about a third of each branch's power. And due to the growing population and the sheer size of America, our government would entirely cease to function without them. Specifically, agencies partake in rulemaking, enforcement, and adjudication. Rulemaking, or quasi legislative powers, allow agencies to create regulations that have legal power. And there's two ways in which agencies can go about rulemaking: formally or informally. For formal rulemaking, there must be a hearing, and it requires notice to the public, including a time, place, and purpose of the hearing. This allows interested parties an opportunity to participate. But the drawbacks to formal rulemaking are the fact that it can be very costly and very time consuming. On the other hand, informal rulemaking does not require a hearing, but only for the agency to publish a general notice to the involved parties that a new rule is being proposed, and it allows the interested parties to submit written comments for consideration. This is a far more common rulemaking process that comes from a very important piece of legislation regarding agencies called the Administrative Procedure Act, or for short, the APA. Adjudication, or quasi-judicial powers, allow agencies to act as a deciding factor in interagency disputes. This frees up time and resources for the judicial branch. Adjudication is usually faster and far more flexible than a standard hearing through the federal court system. Finally, enforcement, or quasi-executive powers. Agency enforcement is the investigative or policing side of their work, and it gives agencies the authority to monitor and authorize the industries or activities they're responsible for by using tools like inspections or audits. This is important for making sure agencies are acting as intended for the public safety of the people. Even though agencies are important, they are not without their criticisms. They can be considered too powerful or too inefficient, and sometimes both. But this is likely because the majority of agency work is informal, or that bureaucracy is not infallible as a system. Despite these criticisms, agencies are responsible for a lot of public good. Without agencies, we would lack lots of healthcare and environmental initiatives, and already painstakingly long governmental processes would be exacerbated. So we can fight for public good, and as voters and citizens, it's our responsibility to hold our government to a higher standard. From the launching of rockets to handling social security benefits, agencies are an integral and invaluable part of our modern government. However, it's important to let you, the viewer, know that this is a very surface level look at a very complex and important topic. And as always, I encourage you to stay informed and do your own research. There's always more to learn and never enough time to cover it all in just 5 minutes. I hope you have a wonderful day and thank you for watching.